You're on mute.
At a point, all right, I'm hyped, man. America's two most electrifying actors share this the two scenes together on screen. In 1995, celebrated director Michael Mann released his edit point. In 1995, celebrated director Michael Mann released his magnum opus, Heat. Al Pacino plays the most dedicated LAPD detective the world has ever known.
I told you when we hooked up, baby, that you were going to have to share me with all the bad people and all the ugly events on this planet.
And Robert De Niro is an impossibly cool robber with a dedicated crew. Hi, my name is Walter Lane, and somewhere in this internet ether is Chris Vendito and Reese Turn. And today we are mourning the death of cinema in Film is Dead, new podcast series produced by NPR. And in our first episode, we will be looking, of course, at the film Heat. So yeah, and in this deal, this Heat movie, so there's this crew, they hit this armored car, and the crew makes plans to rob a bank after that hit in broad daylight. And Al Pacino is like, and every cop in LA, they work together to stop them. And somehow, this simple cops and robbers story takes almost 3 hours to tell. And again, as the trailer mentions, despite having been both featured in The Godfather 2 together decades earlier, this was in fact the first time Al and Bobby D would share the screen together. Reese and Chris, how are you?
Buddy.
Great, buddy. How are you?
That was good. That was good. You threw a little shade at the end.
Barely.
First of all, imagine it's 1995. You see that fucking trailer.
It could have been fucking Robert De Niro and Al Pacino reading the phone book, Michael Mann could have written the script in crayon. It doesn't fucking matter. The trailer is only, holy fuck, look who's in this movie. Are you even kidding me? Are you even fucking serious? Give me your money. Just leave $20 on your way out the theater. Buy your tickets in advance.
Yeah, that's that.
It's banking all on these two guys.
It worked.
Yeah, one turns in a coherent performance.
They both do. We both continue on with the open. By the way, it looks like you're filming this on a potato.
It is actually. First of all, it's just the shitty lighting in this room. We'll work on the lighting next time.
It's good episode though.
Al Pacino, Robert De Niro share the top billing, of course. When the title card comes on the film, we get both those names before Heat, before the title card. That's important. Then you get the title card. No, this is important. Then you get the title card. Third build name, Val Kilmer. Makes sense. 1995. Val Kilmer, very big. Batman Forever, right around the same time. Huge. Fourth build name, Tom Sizemore.
The biggest.
The fourth build name. Al Pacino, the two most electrifying actors of our time, or the next time, or any time. And Val Kilmer and Tom Sizemore, who was Tom Sizemore was canceled literally decades before the cancel movement. Anyway, he's great. I think he's great in this, and everybody, literally every working every working actor in Hollywood was in this film. I got a list here, of course. Val Kilmer, we got, and John Voight, he's in there as should I say what every character? And I'll just say some of the guys here. We got John Voight, Tom Sizemore, Diane Venora as Justine, who Al Pacino's wife. Who's absolutely awful. Amy Brenneman from fucking Judging Amy,
Natalie Portman,
Ashley Judd, Mykelti Williamson, Ted Levine, aka Buffalo Bill, Dennis Haysbert, the president for 24, William Fichtner, As Roger Van Zandt, who's also in like Prison Break and shit. Fucking Hank Azaria is in this. The Danny Trejo, whose character is simply referred to as Trejo. Like Michael Mann must have met Danny Trejo like at a fucking somewhere else, and you're like, I like you, Trejo. You're gonna be in this thing, all right? I'm working on a thing. A huge, massive Henry Rollins from Black Flag, who's massive, and you think he's gonna kick some ass until Al Pacino just kicks the shit out of him.
Super easily too.
It's crazy. Like Al Pacino was like 5 foot nothing. Forget Tone Loc. Fucking Tone Loc is in this movie. Funky Cold Medina. Wild Thing. Chris, you know Tone Loc? Yeah, you know Tone Loc.
Was he the bouncer?
No, he's the guy with the scratchy voice, man. You know.
Holy shit, that's a great Tone Loc impression.
Literally every working actor. Again,
Christmas in '95.
It says it received praise for Mann's direction and screenplay, as well as the performance of Pacino and De Niro. But it didn't really do much at the awards or anything. I think I read somewhere else.
We'll get into that. I have thoughts on that later.
I read that it was the 25th highest grossing film of the year, which is like, again,
you can't fucking tell me that Babe is a better fucking movie than Heat. Straight up. Babe was nominated for Oscars.
Babe was fantastic.
You're not going to like my opinion on this, Chris. Like, I think Babe is a better movie than Heat.
You sick fucks.
Next episode, Babe. Babe's the next episode. Woo! Babe's a good movie. I'm sorry.
Reese, what were we all be watching the movie this week? What was your takeaways? What were you expecting going into the movie?
And Reese,
what are your thoughts after?
And tell us when you first saw this movie, like when you first saw it, when you saw it in your life, and how it stacked up now. You know?
Okay, first time I saw it, I was younger. Of course, I think I was probably. When did it came out? In 95. So probably realistically, home movie 96, 97. So I was 12. I was
96. 12, late 90s, probably the next year.
Exactly. So I was 12 when this movie came out, and the first time I watched it was with my dad, and it was like I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." Now, as an adult, I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, "Oh, this is." Fucking 12 whole movies in one movie. It's a very bloated movie. If they could cut 3 storylines out of it easily, you wouldn't miss anything. But the movie itself, you know, the 3 hours, it didn't really feel like 3 hours until the end of the movie when I realized, shit, that was 3 hours.
It's that fifth act that really fucks you.
They could have left out the Waingro storyline, but I feel like they wanted to keep it in as like a nod to the a TV show called LA. I think it was LA Takedown or LA Lockdown.
So it was a remake of a unaired pilot.
Yeah, exactly. It was, and Waingro was a character.
Explain. Can you explain the Waingro storyline a little bit, Reese, just for the sake of
so as shown in the movie Heat, Waingro is a new guy to join the crew. He's joining crew, and what does this redneck sweet-eyed idiot do right away? He kills people, and then
he kills a guard, like a defenseless guard, for no real reason.
For no reason, just because he's a real piece of shit.
And he claims that the guy was fucking with him, but he wasn't. This guy's a psycho. He's a fucking psycho.
Not even that. The moment you see Waingro on screen, like this guy's gonna be a problem. This guy's a piece of shit. But he added a lot of tension throughout the movie.
But not really, though. It's like needless to like that whole storyline. Okay.
So keep going, Reese.
Or Waingro. Let me go back to Waingro. Waingro killed the guy. They beat the piss out of him in the parking lot.
They tried to kill him.
And then he gets away. Like
he fucks, which is kind of like unbelievable. I found I don't know. I had a hard time with that. I'm like, the fuck did he go?
He pulled a David Copperfield. He appeared on top of the guy's tower.
You know? And then when you see him the next time, he doesn't seem like he just like sustained a beating. Here's a fun reveal: he's a serial killer, also.
Yeah, how about that?
He's a serial killer.
It's like honestly, somebody was telling somebody about Waingro. The writer was like, and this guy, he joins their crew, and he's a bad guy, and he's a serial killer too. Yeah, he's totally like a serial killer. It's like it's being told to you by a child almost. Waingro storyline. He's a kid. He's a Nazi. Yeah, he's also a Nazi.
When I saw
that whole thing with the girl that he kills, is really such a dark, twisted like portion of the movie. Like all of a sudden it goes from being a crime thriller to like a horror film.
And it ultimately
like
served
with the way Pacino was acting in that scene.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the way
I have
the
notes
body
on this scene. I have a lot of notes on this scene.
Yeah.
It's like I know, me too. It's such a
it was insane.
It really, I think Reese hits it on the head when he says though that it's like it feels like multiple episodes of like a TV show kind of jammed together in a movie. When they show all this, I'm like, surely they're spending all this time on this because the investigation of this murder is going to somehow intersect with the investigation of the bank of the robbers here, of the robbery crew. It's like an old sort of like film noir kind of like trope, or like a detective movie trope where there's like two different crimes that seem completely unrelated, but that are and the investigation of one crime leads to the thing of the other, blah 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 blah. So I'm watching this thinking, oh well, so somehow they're gonna get the guy for the murders or something, and he's gonna try to help himself or reduce his fucking shit by like copping to this, but like giving up like Robert De Niro and all those guys. No, that does not happen. That does not happen. The cops do end up with this guy in their possession for different reasons. The murder shit has nothing to do with anything.
Wait, the cops get him because it's money launderer gets him, right?
Yeah, he's in police custody though.
No, he goes to Van Sant. He goes to Van Sant first with information because he knows.
He goes to Van Sant. He tries to sell them out to Van Sant.
Yeah, because he knows that he was the owner of the bearer bonds they ripped off at the beginning of the film.
My point is,
but at the end, he's right.
Serial killer stuff specifically is never ties into anything, really.
No, it's weird too because you would think that they would have made the connection.
Yeah, and they don't.
At the end, when they he's working for them.
Yeah, and nobody figures it out.
Never brought up.
And they could have put one thing. They could have put one scene where a guy puts it together and be like, "I think we got our guy." Like, no,
literally,
it's like
that whole scene with the girl, the scene before, like seeing him in the hotel, and after with Pacino and the mother, all of that's irrelevant. It's not necessary. It's not needed. He never, quote unquote, finds who did this to her daughter.
Thank God they introduced the underage.
They could have cut that. That's like 7 minutes right there.
To brutally murder her. And if as long as we're talking about this now, so when Al Pacino shows up to the fucking scene of the crime, and he's like. Yeah, first of all, he's going into the body. He's looking around, and he sees the mother and the siblings by the by the police tape. Yeah, he's like, who's that over there? Who's that? That's the mother, the victim, and the siblings. What are they doing over there? And he's like screaming, and I'm like, in a way where it sounds like he's angry at them also, like. No, it's like they could hear you. They could imagine that it's like a crime scene. Everybody's being like hushed and reserved. Al Pacino's fucking screaming about people.
Al Pacino shows up screaming.
He's 100% the only. Think about that as a real world scenario. He would be the only person actually screaming there. Nobody would be screaming except for maybe like the wailing mother of the victim. And then like Al Pacino stops her from going to the body.
Puts her in an inverted
and gives her like a weird kind of hug thing and kind of like wrestles her a little bit and never says a word. And I feel like there was like 2 pages of dialogue that he was given there that he just didn't fucking do. I'm just gonna do like a hug thing. Yeah.
We got sidetracked by Wayne Grove and we did 15 minutes on Wayne Grove.
Yeah, no, basically my overall thought on the movie is like if you took all of the secondary episodic shit out of the film, like the serial killer episode, the money laundering episode, if you got those away from the actual film and just keep it about the heists that his crew pulls off, it's a good movie. It's a very well acted parts.
Yeah, make it like an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it could be an hour and a half long. If it's an hour and a half long, 2 hours is too fucking long. Hour and a half.
You said it flew by. You said it flew by.
At least there is a lot of stuff that happens, but a lot of it is pointless.
So much shit's pointless. Why does Natalie Portman have to suicide in the bathtub? Why did that happen?
I know her dad. I know her dad didn't show up to a couple things or whatever. But like,
does this guy have any idea what he's doing to his kid?
Does he know?
Come on, man.
Okay, one thing I want to talk about Pacino. He immediately, right after the first time we see him, he's having sex with his wife, and then he takes a shower. He comes downstairs, talks to the wife. You immediately notice that he's going to snap a lot in this movie. He's like, "Quick, shop,
Keeps me quick, shop, where I need to be."
He snaps,
Yeah,
the whole fucking movie.
He fucking-
Every other scene, he does that snapping thing.
That was
I love
my
how they're-
favorite thing. Was one of my favorite things about this was how they start the film. Where they show everybody prepping for the heist. They cut to Pacino, and he's just deep fucking his lady. You know, and it's like there's movie kisses. You know, there's movie kisses.
No, he's in there.
And this was what Al Pacino was doing to that poor young actress.
But but like getting back, she's just fucking. She's just fucking, and then like the kid shows up. She almost saw Al Pacino plowing her mom.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I guess.
But like this is what's like this movie could have dropped all of this stuff, like the Natalie Portman and suicide attempt,
every
killer, money launderer, all that could have gone. And if you made it about the relationship between the Al Pacino character and the Robert De Niro character and their whole thing, that would have that's it. You don't need all the other stuff, and that movie would have been amazing.
Hey, it's 25 years later, and we're still talking about it, so it's still good.
Well, you picked it.
Still a great film. First, I do want to say about The Open, that sort of stuff cannot happen anymore. You can't just walk into a hospital and just steal an ambulance. You can't,
I think you can. I think you can.
Can't go by.
I think if you look like Robert De Niro, you can.
You think it's De Niro look great?
Obviously, looks great. It looks like $1 million. This is the end of this.
A lot of hair dye. We're gonna get into our favorite scenes and quotes now of the film. We're kind of already there.
Did you want to give any of your own context on this, Chris, or like?
I could give my own context.
Just like the first time you saw it, and like.
I'm a little bit younger than you boys, so I only saw it in like the early to mid 2000s.
Right.
Again, like I'm probably both of you. I watched it with my dad.
You were like 5 years old when this movie came out. We were born in like
I was 5 when the movie came out. 5 when the movie
crazy.
came out. Yeah. So I was a little young to watch it then.
Yeah. What 3-year-old? What 5-year-old doesn't want to sit down in front of a 3-hour fucking movie? Like, Daddy, let's skip to the second cassette. Come on, Christ's sake here.
Freedom, Daddy, freedom. No, I think it's, if you're looking at it now, it's two of the greatest actors of all time, of their generation at the very least. At near the end of when they both still really had it.
Al didn't have it in this. He's out of his fucking mind. What are you talking about?
Al fucking had it.
Get into your thing. Talk about the thing you told me about today. Bring that up now. This is a good time.
Al Pacino.
Bring this up. Bring up the thing.
Al Pacino in 2016, when they did a panel for this film with Christopher Nolan, Michael Mann, and De Niro and Pacino. I think it was at the Paley Center or something. And Pacino said at the panel that his character was on coke throughout the film. Major cocaine problem, and you know what? Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Bullshit revisionist history. It's Al trying to cover.
She's got a great ass. Give me all you got. Give me all you got.
You got Al. You brought Al up there. And he's just like, and also the other thing is, and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face.
A motherfucking time.
No script for Al. No script.
None.
I don't think he learned his lines. I think everybody else had very clearly scripted lines. Like, it's not one of those movies where, like, it's not like a Soderbergh thing or some kind of deal where there's a lot of improv and shit. Like, I don't even know if fucking Soderbergh. I don't know why I said Soderbergh. I don't know if Soderbergh does that. But like, it's not like a loosey goosey. Oh, the cat. Everybody is clearly got their lines down, or is doing professional acting and shit. Al is saying whatever. Al is he's like, he knows what his character is, kind of, and he's reacting to what other people are saying, to what other characters are doing. And that's all he's doing. There's like nothing.
My last point before we get into the other stuff about the movie, I love heist films. I love these type of movies. It influenced every heist film you've seen since this came out has been influenced by Heat. There are knockoffs of Heat, not knockoffs in terms of they are knockoff scenes of Heat. The shootout scene at the end has been like redone multiple times by other movies.
I want to while you're on this, Chris, I'd like to mention we talked about this in the pre-interview there that the Dark Knight, the opening of the Dark Knight is very very Heat-esque, you know, and what's kind of cool is that movie features the guy we were just talking about,
Van Zandt.
William Fichtner,
in a very similar role, and Nolan is you just mentioned, is a big fan of this movie, so I think that's like a little his little Heat tribute there, and that's that's another great bank robbery scene, the opening of Dark Knight. It's very tight, very good, and it's very Heat-like too.
Yeah. It's like
all your favorite directors, whether it's Quentin Tarantino, whether it's Robert Rodriguez, whether it's fucking what's his name, the guy who made the Fish movie, all of them love Michael Mann and love this movie in particular.
I don't know if Tarantino likes Michael Mann.
He does. I've heard him on podcasts talk about this movie. He does.
Again,
what was that banner running across the bottom?
Yeah, what was that? What is this? Walter loves Batman movies. So does Reese.
They talk about them all the time. I'm playing with banners and stuff. We're learning the software, people.
Oh, okay.
Make them about Heat. Make the banners about Heat.
It's like a ticker. I see.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just want to mention.
Cue it up for your 5 facts that comes later, Reese. Cue that up.
Yeah, that could be used for that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At a point. All right, Walter. We're getting in.
I just want one more thought on this. I did grow up in a very heavily Italian part of the city, and a lot of kids snapping. And so, if there was anybody who was on board the Al Pacino, Robert De Niro hype train, it was like 9-10-year-old Italian kids in RDP in fucking 1995. Man, did I hear a lot of kids talking about Heat, and like. My parents wouldn't let me watch that movie, and I think my parents went to go see it in theaters or some shit, like on like their like 1 or 2 dates a year that they would go on or some shit, and and I remember my dad just like popping off about how long and boring this movie was.
My father and I disagree about a lot of things.
Yeah. So like the kids were hyped, and I just imagine like you know, like when the thing came out on video, 2 cassettes, bro. I just imagine these kids, these poor like 10-year-old Italian kids, super hyped for Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, bank robbery movie, and there's only like 2 robbery scenes, and then there's a bunch of like girlfriend drama stuff. Like imagine like kids having to sit through just like 2 hours of like character exposition and shit. It's fucking hilarious. All right. Worth it. Good story, Walter. Okay. I did some best and worst. So what do you want to do now? What segment are we doing, Chris?
I think we'll do our favorite scenes. I think, listen, we haven't talked about it at all yet. The most famous scene in this movie, the scene that you wait the most for in this movie, the scene that has been the
great
most
ass scene.
No, great scene. We'll get to that one in a second. But the diner scene.
Which one?
The diner scene. The lead up to the diner scene, and then the diner scene. We'll talk about that for a second. Again, if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know why you're listening to this long.
Yeah, but what the fuck you doing? What are you doing?
It's 32 minutes you've been on here. If you haven't watched the movie, I don't know what you're doing.
You really love us.
Pacino gets into Vincent Hanna gets into a helicopter first. Somehow finds Neil McCauley on the streets of LA, gets into a car, and chases him down, probably ripping it down the highway, pulls him over, goes up to him and said, "Let's grab coffee."
Yeah. Like almost dies.
And De Niro's like, "Yeah, sure."
All right, let's do it.
Okay. You follow me.
Let's go. Let's do it.
And it's them two for the first time ever on screen together.
But you never see faces at the same time.
If you watch that conversation at the Paley Center, You'll understand why. Okay, this is what Michael Mann says about that scene. I wanted it to be 2 over-the-shoulder cameras plus a third camera showing profile, but we never used it because it was so compelling to go back and forth one at a time.
Cool.
Most of the scene is from the 11th take of the scene, and there's so many gems. First of all, they're both sitting down. They never rehearsed the scene, boys. They never rehearsed the scene before. De Niro didn't want to rehearse it. He's
but they did 11 takes, bro.
We're sitting down. No, they did like 22 apparently.
That's a long scene to do 22 takes of.
I know. Again, some of the great lines there. Pacino sits him down at first. He's talking about all the prison stuff, and he talks about one prison. He's like, McNeil as tough as they say, and then De Niro just looks at him right away without missing a beat. You're looking at becoming a penologist.
A penologist. By the way, who says penologist? He casually drops this word, and you understand it to mean like a prison expert, I guess. But like,
it's an expert on prisons. Of course it is. Hilarious. It's hilarious. And before I give them for you boys on this scene, my favorite part of the scene is when Pacino is going at the end. He's like, we're sitting here like a couple of regular fellows, getting along. But if it comes a point, if you get boxed in, and it becomes between you or some poor bastard that whose wife you're gonna make a widow, brother, you're going
down. Brother, you are going down.
De Niro's rebuttal.
That works 2 ways. Works 2 ways.
I got you boxed in.
What if you got me boxed in? And I can get out. I take you down. Yes, I do.
I had coffee with Macaulay an hour ago.
Tell me what you got. And like this cocaine thing is bullshit. There's no insinuation that he's doing drugs. This is a bullshit story by Pacino.
No, other than his wild-eyed shit.
Come on, the way he twitches.
Maybe he was on coke. Maybe Al was on coke. Maybe he was on coke and he was like, "It was method." Yeah.
There's a scene before the coffee scene when it's right after Macaulay and the crew walk away from the score at that like industrial place when the cops are there and they're waiting to bring him down. So they go to this like fucking fish yard or whatever, boat yard, and they're like fucking trying.
Oh, that's great. That's a pretty fun scene, actually.
That's a great scene.
That's a pretty fun scene. I like that.
They're talking, they're pointing, they leave.
That stays in. That's good.
And the cops come. Yeah, and the cops come, and like Pacino's like you could see him putting it together in real time while the other this guy. Let me tell you. He figures it out.
Yeah,
and it takes like 45 seconds to tell everybody. This guy.
Let
me tell you.
Yeah. Wow.
He's just impressed.
We just got made.
Imagine being any of the other cops that has to deal with this, like because everybody else is like a normal person, and it's just like imagine like this is like the real world. This is just like a work colleague, and he's like, and you're watching, and you're like at this potential crime scene, and this guy is like spinning around, screaming at no one. It's like,
you can see the guy who played Bubba in Forrest Gump. Just look totally resigned to the fact that he has to deal with this lunatic.
LAPD. We just got made.
Oh man,
amazing.
There's a bit of a continuity issue. There's a couple continuity things, but in the fucking climactic chase at the end, in act number 5, as I refer to it, you see, there's all these people. De Niro has just killed what's his face, Waingro there in the hotel. After he's like told his girlfriend he's done with this and he's going to run off to New Zealand. Anyway. Mm-hmm. And then she's waiting in the car. He gets out of the hotel and he sees Pacino is coming. The heat's coming around the corner, so he does what he's been promising to do all movie, and he bolts. He ditches judging Amy, and he runs away. And he's got a major lead on Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Major League.
When I jump in there, you know what? They filmed exactly 30 seconds. This isn't one of the facts. This didn't make my list, but 30 seconds exactly, because you know that thing, you got to leave everything in 30 seconds. They took 30. They took 30 seconds on purpose.
That's cool.
On that point.
This is why Michael Mann is revered. Certain things like that.
But Robert De Niro bolts, and Al Pacino can kind of barely see him. They're like you can barely see him, and then there's like a shot of Robert De Niro going over some massive like hedge, and it's almost like a 10-foot drop or some shit. Or like it's like a big drop, and he goes to and Al Pacino is nowhere close to him, and he's not. And Al Pacino comes around like a corner, and he's like, "Where did he go? Where did he go?" De Niro's already gone over this bush. Cuts to De Niro on the tarmac of the airport. He's running and shit. And then it just cuts to fucking Pacino's right behind him on the tarmac. And I'm like, where did he go over the bush?
It's proof of the cocaine theory.
I was going to say it's proof of the cocaine theory. I've seen some cokeheads leg down.
He leapt over the bush. He was like, huzzah! And like shot him.
Furthermore, when they're coming out of the bank before the shootout, Val Kilmer gets out the door with the bag. He's like walking 25 paces, 30 paces. And then in that time that he's walking, they're able to park their car, run over a couple blocks.
They're already coming outside. They see them.
Yeah.
They see them. Get out of the way. Get down. And they're like, no regard for civilian casualties. No regard for civilian lives.
Just a bunch of automatic weapons just being deployed.
Fucking
recklessly at best.
Tom Sizemore picks up a child fucking hostage. A child hostage. So he won't be shot at. And Al Pacino's first thought is like, I could probably shoot around her.
That's the cocaine again. Cocaine guy.
It's the good guy. Al Pacino is like, I'll just shoot past the clavicle. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Insanity. And also, another problem I have: how there's no fucking way that Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer like get away from that deal. Get out, get out from that shootout.
No, there's a way. There's a way.
Where like 50 cops die. They shoot and kill.
You could shoot
so many cops. People lose their fucking minds when one cop dies. They killed like half of the LAPD
1,000
in this one fucking shootout. Like, I'm like, how, and they just walk away. They just get away. Like, and there's not going to be like a massive manhunt that would immediately Robert De Niro somehow gets another full day to himself to like work out a new getaway plan to kill 2 other guys to go on like and settle accounts all after he's been involved in the biggest fucking shootout in American history. Like, it's insane.
He's right,
I mean, when you have Michael Cerrito picking up a child and shooting at cops, it's a good distraction. It's a good distraction, because for Michael, the action is the juice.
The action, yeah.
I have a couple nitpicks or problems, or whatever you want to call them. I don't even know if like Reese talked about it at the top. Like, even in the Wayne Gross scene, he didn't help much on the heist. Wasn't needed. That could have been
a passenger in the truck.
The whole from the moment you see him, it's like his only goal there is for you to hate him. So I don't understand that. I don't get that. Like, he didn't help at all on the heist. He only caused problems. They could have easily done the heist with the 4 of them. They would have been fine. They didn't need a 5th. Also, Dennis Haysbert, real big role in this. A lot of backstory was covered with Dennis.
See, this I like. This I find is more effective than the serial killer thing. And you could arguably say say that the Dennis Haysbert thing is a waste of time too, because they established this character. He's just come out of jail. He's working a shitty job at the diner. All this stuff. They show his shitty boss who's like taking advantage of him.
Yeah, they show him drunk one night. Like,
they really set him up. And then he just like
gets
unceremoniously dies in the
right away.
Yeah, right. And and no one sheds a fucking tear over
not one left.
It's like, and no one's like, oh, we lost him. He was a good guy. Nothing. And it's like, and it's like and like, it's kind of not satisfying in a way, but I think that's kind of the point there, where it's like these guys' lives are so dispensable that they are ultimately people with like, you know, established lives and shit going on, but like they could just be like, you know, snuffed out in a second, and everybody else is just gonna move on. Like, message.
Beauty right.
Don't let yourself get attached to anything that you can't walk out on in 30 seconds.
Robert De Niro gives that advice, like 30 times in this movie. He explains that. He tells Pacino. He told me once. Who's this guy? What was he, like a fucking traveling gypsy? Like, but so Robert, and he tells us all this shit, and he's so stoic. He's super cool, ice cold. Robert De Niro.
That's a good line too.
And then falls for like the first fucking girl that's nice to him. Like,
can we talk about that scene real quick?
Yes, please. Let's talk about that scene. So
they meet at a cafe.
Judging Amy has been like eyeballing fucking Robert De Niro.
Edie.
What's that?
Her name is Edie in the film.
Yeah. Judging Amy.
She's eyeball. So De Niro comes into the diner. He's reading his book about medals. And he goes, "Could you pass the cream?" And she gives him the cream.
Yeah.
And then Edie goes, "What you reading?" And then he goes,
and he, right away.
This is he doesn't want to answer. Scene.
Yeah.
She asks him the question, "What you reading?" And he looks at her like this. He's like,
"Book about medals."
Book about medals. And then she asked him the follow-up, what do you do? Lady, what are you so interested in? What
I do, what I'm reading, huh? Just an asshole, just like a dick line. I've spoken to people like this.
And then, not even 3 minutes later, they're at her house.
Yeah. He recovers from this. He's such a dick to her. Basically, he tells her to fuck herself in as many ways.
He does look great.
To judging Amy.
They're at the house, and Walter, I'm going to need your help with this part of the scene here. That's hilarious. That's so perfect. That is so perfect. They're at Judging Amy's house, and she's like, he's like, "So where are you from?"
Are they at her house, or they're at the beach house?
No, they're at her house. It's a rundown house, but has a great view, beautiful view. She says that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I kind of tune out the girlfriend stuff.
I'm sure. And she's talking about how her family's Irish.
They're getting into the lineage.
Yeah, and where they moved.
You know, my family is Irish Scotch. They came over to Appalachia in the late 1700s, and you know, some of them stayed there. I went to New York, and then came here. Where are you from?
The Bay Area.
Amazing.
From the Bay Area. He's like fallen for this girl, but he's still pissed that she's asking so many questions. I like that he can't understand why she's upset when she discovers that he's like a murdering bank robber.
Yeah.
He doesn't really get it. He's trying to like kiss her. He's trying to come on, what are you gonna do?
Hey, but to his credit, Edie's there at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
ready to go to New Zealand.
That's fucking crazy too. She somehow gets over the fact that he's a bank. She's like, okay. She makes herself be okay with that, and he's lucky enough that he's got that going. But then he decides last second that he's gonna go kill Westgrove or whatever. Waingrove.
I had to get it on, man.
No one knows.
I had to get it on.
Who no one knows is a serial killer. And make her wait in the car. And he makes her wait. She's already had to get over the fact that he's a piece of shit.
Who's in police custody too? Waingrove's in police custody.
Police custody. It's like a fucking.
He knows.
It's like a fucking like video game level from like Ghost Recon or some shit. Sneak into the hotel, like get past the cops, and like kill.
I'm gonna ask both of you this: is this the stupidest decision ever made by an otherwise really smart guy in a movie?
What?
To go back to try to kill Wayne Grow. Is that one of the stupidest decisions of all time in movie history, made by a guy who's otherwise pretty competent?
Well, it's like one of these like just absolute just wrong call endings. Like everything about the end of Robert De Niro's character was just wrong.
I think the question is, does he really want to go back to prison? Does he actually want to go back to prison?
He was never going to go back, baby. That's it.
He says that. He says that, and Al Pacino's like, some guys they just want to go back, you know.
So I got 5 facts.
Oh, Reese has got facts. Let's do 5 facts.
This is a segment that we really love.
Fun facts.
It's 5 facts.
It's 5 facts from our researcher and producer, Reese Turner, with the research.
You guys ready? I lit a joint for this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the 5th little fact. I went through a bunch of articles about it, and I pulled 5 facts that I liked.
Okay.
So fact number 1. I don't know if we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it, but we talked about the scene a lot. But the diner scene, it was based on a true story. This film was it was based on a true story. Apparently, Michael Mann has stated that when when he was working on another project, what had happened was what is that? Is that a beer?
Put yourself on mute when you're going to open for a beer or ask for a drink. You're killing the man's momentum.
I'm so sorry.
It's a sparkling water. No, let the record show that's a sparkling water.
I'm not even drinking, bro.
I love it. But anyway, like it's based on a true story. So it was inspired by real life career criminal Nick McCauley and the detective tracking him, Chuck Adamson, which is crazy. But it's based on this actual thing that happened where a cop and this guy went for coffee, and the cop was telling him about Michael Mann about it when they were consulting on another project. Like, one time I went out for coffee with this guy and I ended up busting him on a heist 2 months later. And then Michael, it was just like, shit, that sounds like a great movie. I'm going to put a kid committing suicide in a bathtub and a serial killer Nazi. You know, he just made the whole fucking movie. He took it and ran with that shit, you know? But like, wow, based on a true story, that's pretty cool.
That is. I've heard that before. I've read about that before. It is a pretty cool story.
Yeah,
so that's a real one.
This is a real one. Okay, here's another one. Let's see if I can make this thing work properly. Aha! The 1997 North Hollywood robbery. Okay, how about this? There's a bunch of copycat crimes that followed the film. So the film inspired a bunch of wahoos to try this shit and just go insane and try to take down a bank with assault weapons and such. And one of the more famous examples of this happening was the 1997 North Hollywood robbery, where it's like both the people who did this, there were 2 guys who did this. They were both killed. They injured 11 police officers and 7 civilians.
Holy shit.
Yeah. No, I heard about this.
Yeah, it was one of those, buddy. So technically it was inspired. Like it inspired
and
by
let's not forget, this movie also inspired the massacre outside Fenway Park in the town.
Oh shit! Yeah, okay.
If you look at the shootout in the town, it's basically part 2 of Heat.
Yeah, Ben Affleck is one of his favorite movies.
I'd like to see fucking like actual numbers on.
This is your favorite movie star's favorite movie.
I'd like to see like fucking stats on the success rate of bank robberies in real life. Like I like to and by success rate I mean they get away with it, they get the money, they get away with it, they don't go to prison for it. That's what I mean by success.
Well,
how often does bank robbery work out?
So you got to look up number of unsolved bank robberies in the US.
That's it.
Well, I wonder. I bet it's like a fucking 1 in 10.
1 in 10. Okay.
Banner comes across. 33% of robberies are successful.
How about that? Did you know that?
Heat is a Marine. This is your first. So, see, guys, the name of the gimmick here is to call out Reese's made up facts. And I feel like this one's no, it's not.
It's not actually because like,
it's a real thing because of the way they discharge the guns.
Yeah, they had a Marine. They had a gun. Like they had an army gun expert guy that did like. Go on, Reese. Go on, Reese.
No, keep going. Keep going.
We're stepping on your segment. I thought this was your fake one. This is a real one.
I don't think he did. I don't think it. Go on, Reese. Explain.
No, Walter, go ahead. You can tell me to see where you're going with this.
So they got this gun expert guy from the Marines, I believe, to teach them about the automatic guns, and he made them take like fucking deep training and stuff to use the guns and that kind of shit. But I don't think
the Marines use the video now.
Really?
They use the video to help with their training stuff.
Train for what? In case they encounter Robert De Niro?
No, it's the way they were unloading and loading the guns.
This is why this is a real thing. The actors underwent extensive training for the fight. They're using fully automatic weapons in an urban setting. The scene in the big main firefight, the scene has been shown to submarine classes to teach proper cover fire, return fire, and reloading techniques.
It's the gunfire and stuff, and that's like
it's the reload techniques.
It feels like it inspired a million video games. Is what it feels like.
Almost. Okay, here's another one.
That's the discipline.
Val Kilmer almost died during the production of this film.
Yeah, I believe that.
Actually?
No, that's my fake one.
Oh! Damn it!
I would have believed it.
Yeah, no, this is the fake one. Val Kilmer is a professional. He would never
make up a quick story for how he almost died.
Yeah, tell us how he almost died.
It was during the shootout scene. There's a part where a car drives by and they light it up with bullets. Val was supposed to kind of strafe away, but I can't even. I was
my fake Val Kilmer almost died scene is that there they were.
This is really
they were at the restaurant scene when all the couples when they're coming out at the beginning of the film, because after a bank robbery, the normal thing to do is you and your team all go out together at the same place.
Yeah,
with your wives.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and here's the last one that there's no it's a real fact now. Keanu Reeves was almost Val Kilmer's role.
I read this.
Good old Keanu.
For the amount of dialogue that they gave Val Kilmer in this, I see how they could have cast Keanu.
Yeah.
And also and Kilmer was great in this movie. Like he's really good in this movie. I wouldn't have minded seeing Keanu Reeves.
They don't give him much to do. Like I thought we were gonna get like swooning Val Kilmer, but we just like.
No, I'm happy he was very specific, intentional in everything that he had to do.
He fools cops at the end of the movie by getting a haircut and using a fake ID.
Another trope that has lasted in many heist movies is the guy getting waved off by the girlfriend when the FBI is at their home.
Yeah, Chris claims he's seen this. This is in other movies.
The Town, Den of Thieves.
I think I remember. Yeah.
Well, in The Town, it's very much so. And then John Hamm comes down. He's like, Claire, we're a national organization. Real hammed it up there, Johnny boy.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Shot.
So yeah.
That's the 5. That's Reese's 5 research facts.
Researched.
That's like, I guess that brings us to the end of the movie.
Brings us to the end of the thing here. Did we mention that Danny Trejo's name is just Trejo? What the fuck, Michael Mann?
I found the scene, the line that I kept saying. I'm angry. I'm very angry, Ralph.
I'm angry. I'm angry, Alf. Ralph.
You can ball my wife if she wants you to. You can lounge around here on a sofa in an ex-husband's dead tech post-modernistic bullshit house if you want to.
Yeah. See, this is the only time that he does his lines.
But you do not get to watch my fucking television set.
Do you think he ad-libbed that one, or do you think that was scripted?
He added the last part. What are you doing, Reese?
I was just looking at the microphone. Hey, microphone.
So I wanted you to answer. What am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because
that's
so good. That's you know who this is. You know who this is. You know what this is? I'm talking to. The line doesn't even make sense. It's kind of like, thank God he's like when he says I'm talking to an empty telephone. You're like, what the fuck does that mean?
I know I'm talking to a blank telephone.
No, he says empty. He says,
on the other fuck.
Because it's a dead man on the other end. And I'm like, I think De Niro like improvised his way through what that line was supposed to be, because like an empty telephone doesn't sound right somehow. Like
doesn't at all. It's cocaine.
That's a great line.
That wraps up Film is Dead's Heat review.
That looks so cool.
What a great poster. What a great poster. So, Reese, you're Chris in this scenario, right? I'm De Niro and Walter's Pacino.
Yeah.
Hey, who do they make this with now? If they remake this, reboot Heat, if they make like a hot new Heat, hot Heat.
These three right here. Look at it. Ooh.
Yeah, we could redo it.
Nice.
Okay, I've thought a lot about this. Russell Crowe in the Vincent Hanna part.
No,
he's the Pacino part.
He's Pacino.
Yeah. Denzel Washington is Neil McCauley. Michael B. Jordan is Chris. And Tom Sizemore is Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore is still Tom Sizemore, yeah.
Okay, that's a good call.
Denzel, for me, the action is the juice.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Film is dead. Film is dead.